Hello, I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. I'm Rick Stivers, and today we're going to be working on this reel that was sent to me by Dan Selvig. Dan noticed when I did the GS13 that the Daiwa, that this looked a lot like it, and he wanted to see how they compared up. So this one he sent me, this thing is in really nice condition. This is a K-Mart reel. It's a K-Mart SS40 2-ball bearing reel, and it was made in Japan. Very nice reels, very solid. And we're going to take this apart and see how it compares to that Daiwa. The Daiwa is a very nice reel, and I believe this one is too. So let's take a look. We're going to start off taking off the spool. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on to the handle. Let's see how this handle comes off. This looks like this is going to be a through handle with a screw. It is. All right, let's take a look at this handle itself. This handle folds down by screwing it down like that. It's a little bit tight, so we're going to add a little bit of oil right here just to give it an opportunity to free itself up. Okay, screw that back up the other way, and there's really not a good place to get into the threads of this screw, except maybe to put a few down through it this way. All right, let's screw that back up there and see how this part works. It spins. Okay, let's add a little bit of oil there. And let's move on to taking the side plate off. I'm going to break the screws loose with a common screwdriver. Okay, well, I'm going to take it all the way out with the common screwdriver because that is not, those are not Phillips right there. They are standard head with a something in the middle. We'll take them all the way out with the common. All right, all three of those screws are identical, you can see there. So we're going to put them together over here to the side, and we're going to take the side cover off. This is a really clean reel inside. Very nice. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got here. We have a ball bearing here. We have a main gear that doesn't want to come all the way out. Let's flip this anti-reverse over and see if it wants to come out. Nope, still won't come out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove this screw right here on the axle shaft. Well, that was already loose to begin with. Okay, we'll take that screw out and then slide the axle shaft out. And now I'll be surprised if the main gear doesn't come right out, and it does. Okay, it's dirty, but it's well lubricated. Looks good. Don't lose this shim right here. There is a shim on the bottom, which is a little bit unusual. We usually don't have a shim in the bottom, so keep an eye on that. Don't lose it. And this ball bearing doesn't want to come off of here, so I'm not going to force it because I'm afraid I'll damage it. And what's happened is the screw being tightened down has mushroomed just slightly, and I could take a file and work around it, but I think we're going to leave it alone. Leave it on there. It's there. It's fine. And we're just going to oil it well. Spin it around a little, make sure it's moving freely, and it is. So we're going to leave that alone, and we'll just clean up the gear. All right, let's see where we're at now. Okay. We have our click ratchet here. This is our anti-reverse, and in this position it's anti-reverse. In this position it's overridden. See with the pawl right here, pushes on it and it moves it over and lifts this pawl up so it can't hit. All right, let's go ahead and take out the crosswind block. There we go. Notice the orientation for it. And then we're going to reach in and gently lift out the crosswind gear. And that part in there is ready to be cleaned. Let's move this around now, and let's take the nut off of the rotor. Okay, it does come off counterclockwise. It was on very tight. Okay, there's the nut for that. See if this rotor, yep, the rotor lifts right off. Okay, now, Dan, we're going to see major differences between this and the GSX13 that we looked at. There was a whole lot of anti-reverse stuff in here that is definitely not here. All right, now this is going to take, in order to take this off, this is going to require a very small set of snap ring pliers, and I'm going to have to look and see if I have those. All right, I recently purchased a set of interchangeable snap ring pliers so that I could deal with things like this, but I'm not sure if they're going to be small enough to handle this task. So let's have a look. Let's see if the holes are the pins are small enough to go in these holes. I don't believe they are. They are not small enough. The smallest that I have does not go down small enough. And I have been known to modify things in the past, but I find it difficult to make myself file down a brand new set of snap ring pliers. And they just will not go in. That being the case, let's see if I can handle this in a different fashion. We're going to see if I can get in behind this snap ring plier, or snap ring, and get it to come out another way. There we go. And I'll basically be able to put that right back in the same way. Okay, the snap ring's out. The bearing is out. Pinion gear is out. The bearing does feel like it needs to be oiled a little bit. It's a little rough. So I'm going to have to clean that out good. Let's see if it will come off. Yes, it did. It came off. There's a collar it fits on. There we go. This collar will fit on. The bearing fits on like that. And then there's another collar that fits on over top of it like so. Oh, I don't know if you saw that, but anyway. The small collar comes off, then the bearing comes off, then the larger collar comes off. All right, we're going to scrub this up, take a look at that. Let's see what other components we have here. We're not going to take this anti-reverse off. There's not really a lot of point, but you can see how the spring is installed. It's got a see the spring right here. It comes down and it wraps around, and then it hooks right behind this arm. See the hook on it? Yep, see that hook right there? Okay, that hook fits right down behind there, and that's what gives the tension on that arm. And we're going to make sure right there that's dry, and it really should have a little bit of lubricant on it, because I can feel it dragging just a little bit. So once we've cleaned this real good, we'll put that on there. But see how that arm activates there? There is a piece of metal in there that I don't believe belongs. I think it was just a sheared off piece of that. All right, we're going to clean these parts up. Oh, also I meant to show you there is the cog that's on here, and this cog could go on the wrong way. So look at the position and the direction that the teeth are facing, because you definitely want to put that back on the right way. You could flip that over like so, and your anti-reverse isn't going to work. Okay, so make sure that you have that on there the correct way, which is just like that, if in the event that you take it off. All right, I'm going to scrub these parts up, and I'll come back to you in just a minute with everything clean. All right, all the parts are nice and clean now, and I've gone ahead and inspected, checking the pinion gear, make sure it's all nice and straight, and it is. There's no flat spots, there's no worn spots in the gears, and so we're going to go ahead and start lubing this thing up and getting it back together. So we're going to start off lubricating the pinion gear, then onto the pinion gear. Remember, we've got this anti-reverse cog ratchet, it's on there. Okay, next we'll go the large sleeve, like so. Next will come the bearing. Now the bearing I spent some time on cleaning up. It was kind of loud because it had dirt in it. So I spent some time cleaning it out good, and I oiled it once, and now we're going to oil it one more time before we put it in, and even after that, we're probably going to oil it once more after we get it installed. So let's go ahead, slide this down like so, and comes the next sleeve. It slides on, and now this whole set is going to slide back inside here, and see right here, that is going to slide right into that hole, right? It'll go in, there we go, right like that. Now with all that down in there, we need to get our snap ring reinstalled. Easier said than done, but we can do it. Okay, I'm going to start it off by pushing one end down in there. We'll get it down on one side. Now some people like to do these by starting in the middle. Well, maybe we'll try that today. I've heard people with good success on that. So we'll put the middle in first and try slipping one side in. Boy, those are really tight snap rings. Oh, hang on. I just spotted a mistake. Let's pull this back out. All right. When I put this in, when I took this out, this bearing has a sealed side and an open side. All right. This is the sealed side. This is the open side. The open side goes to the inside. All right, and I had it in there backwards, and it will fit that way, but we don't want to put it in that way. Okay, there. Now let's go put our snap ring in. And of course, we all know the right way to do this is to do it using snap ring pliers, but unfortunately, none of mine are small enough to fit these holes. Stand by. Okay, I decided I was tired of messing with that, so I went ahead and I filed the tips of my snap ring pliers to fit the snap ring, and hopefully they'll be strong enough, and that can, yep, and it goes right in. Okay. And hopefully they're going to hold up nice over the years, even though I filed them down a little bit. I didn't take much off of them. Probably about 5 or 6 little swipes of the file on each tip. And just until they fit. And now it does. Okay, now it's back in there. I'm going to come back and add oil into that bearing. Should leave that sleeve, keep that sleeve on there. All right. At this point, we are ready to put our crosswind block back in. And I'll put some grease into the back of this, like so. There's plenty on the back already now. Set this in place, like so. And that crosswind block is going to ride on the top of the crosswind gear, so make sure that it's lubricated. And then get some grease on the teeth of the gear. Because those teeth will ride against these teeth on the main gear. Okay, let's rotate this around to here. All right, that's good. Now we're going to go ahead and lubricate our crosswind block, even though we've already put some on the gear. It won't hurt to have a little on the crosswind block as well. And we're going to set this back inside here. Now that post has to fit into this slot right here. So set it down in there, make sure that it's on there. You got to make sure it stays on there. I had one the other day that came off and I didn't realize it until after I'd put the reel back together. And that was not pleasant. It jammed the whole thing up. It took me a while to get it back. All right, now we're back to this gear. Now remember, this bearing is still on here. If your bearing came off, keep an eye out for that shim that's inside there. My bearing is kind of flared out a little bit, or the shaft is, to keep the bearing on. We're going to leave that on there. On the other side now, we've got this small shim here. I don't know if you can see it very well in the video, but it's there. All right, now we're going to come back and put grease on that shim, which will help hold it in place. And that post where it's going to go through that bushing down there. The bushing is actually just a part of the case. It's not a separate bushing that gets installed. It's part of the case. It's been machined out for that to fit into. Okay. Put grease on the gear teeth. These are the teeth that are going to mesh up with the pinion gear right here. With that done, go ahead and turn this over, slip it back in, make sure that it meshes with the crosswind gear. At that point, everything stops until we do this. And this is binding. And we're going to back out a little bit. I think I zoomed in a little bit a while ago. Okay, this is binding. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead, as I do with all these, we're going to go ahead and take this apart and clean and lubricate it. I do not recommend you do that. Here's how I recommend you do this, is you simply lubricate it good. Like so. Flip the bail back and forth. And there you go. Before you know it, you've got a good operating bail. Now, for those of you who have already taken one of this thing apart and trying to figure out how to put it back together, we're going to go ahead and take it apart. The rest of you, please do not do this. This is just so that for that few people out there who have already gone that far or have a major problem like a broken part and are having to swap it, all the rest of you, skip forward if you want. I'll take out this screw. I believe that this is the non-spring side. I could be wrong. I believe the spring is on this side and this is the non-spring side. So we're going to take this side apart first. Okay. Let's get that out. Let's lift this up and off like so. Now this should come out. Like so. Nope, we got a spring on this side too, but that's for our trip release. It's not the same kind of spring. That's only for the trip release. All right, let's take a look at this and see how this fits. Okay. This is a very well aligned bail. See how it doesn't hurt? It sits right where it's supposed to, all on its own without having any excess effort applied. All right, so that's very nice. And I'm gonna do it. You're gonna tell me not to, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We're going to remove this trip arm right here. See, it's spring loaded right here. Well, we're gonna take that spring out right there. Okay, and now that whole assembly is out, and we're gonna clean inside there. You see a little bit of grease and dirt back behind it. So let's go ahead, clean that out. Now these typically are not greased. Somebody has greased this, and these typically are not greased. So we're not going to grease it. We're going to oil it. I am going to put a little bit of grease where this rides, just because it's very difficult to get oil down inside there and to stay. So this is going to fit right inside here like this. Okay, and I'm going to grease. Oh, yeah, this is the right side. Lift this up out of the way. This will fit right inside there like that. Okay, but we want to grease it first. So let's put just a little grease right there where it's going to slide against the case. Then we're going to flip it around like so, like that, and drop it right in, like that. Okay, now lift this up just a little bit right there, and let's get this spring installed. This spring fits right into that hole, right there. Push it in a little bit and slide this down so that the spring's installed. There you go. And that's all there is to this side. But that's how it fits in case you've taken this apart and need to know how to put it back. That's how it fits. Wow, this is really heavy duty. Normally, these plates that go on the side of these reels are just stamped steel. This thing is not. This thing is like a forged piece or something. It's very heavy, very solid. Very nice piece. Okay, we're going to put it in there. It fits in like so. And then it's got a little screw. This is a small screw. It goes right here. Like that. Okay, then this piece is going to go in like so. Now, we're going to put this screw back in. All the dirt and grime is all cleaned out of this. We'll add a drop of oil here. And we'll add a drop of oil here. And this is working smoothly. Let's take them come around to the other side now. This is going to be the problem side. This is where springs start trying to fly out. And people can't reset their springs to get them back where they belong. That one's in there pretty good. Let's use a bigger screwdriver where I can get some leverage. There we go. Okay, we can feel the spring pushing down on this. Right, ease that up and out of there. There we go. There's our spring right there. That's the one that operates this side. Let's now go ahead and remove this screw. And that will reveal this spring. Now see, that's the way most of these side plates I've ever seen are. It's real thin like this instead of like that other one. Got a lot of old dried grease in there. Okay, there's our spring. There's how it fits. And it's going to trip right there. So let's go ahead and lift it out since we're here and clean this up inside. Okay, before I set the spring back in, we'll put some grease here where this is going to ride. Like so. We'll set the spring back in place. This little tag end right here is going to go into this hole right here. And the rest of it's going to fit up and over the top like that. Wipe all the old grease off of this one. And we'll set this side plate back in like that. And install the screw. Use the old grease on the end of the screwdriver trick to hold the screw. Get it started. Reset the plate back where it belongs. And tighten the screw down. Wipe off the excess grease. All right, that's in place. Okay, let's check this side, make sure it's clean. And it is. All right, now this is going to go over here. See this hole? There's a small hole right there. See that hole? I don't know if you can see it. Okay, that small hole right there is what the spring's got to go into. So we're going to lift it out, get that spring to go into that hole, like so. Then we've got to align this over that hole, the big hole for the screw to go in. Doesn't feel like it's going in right. If the screw does not align properly in the hole, it's going to cross thread it, and you don't want that. So the screw should go in easily. There it goes. If you feel it binding, it's not in. Just keep playing with it until you get it. Do not, under any circumstances, try to force it. And if you think maybe it's got messed up threads and it needed to be tight, take it all apart and put the screw in without it and see. Okay. Oil under the head. Oil under the body. Okay, it's all moving freely now. I'm going to wipe off all the excess oils and greases. And I'm going to come back here. We're going to slide this back on. Notice the keyways on the pinion shaft. They're going to have to line up with the rotor like that. Tighten it up. Now there's no keeper on this one to keep it locked down, so you have to really kind of snug it up good. All right, let's take a look at how that spins now. There we go, let's go the right way. No, it was the right way. Oh, don't get too carried away because we're not locked in down here yet. We're hitting against, there we go. Okay, so don't give it a spin. All right, so take the axle shaft, and it looks like I missed a little bit of grease here. With the axle shaft clean now, we're going to go ahead and oil the shaft. Some people like to use grease. I like to use oil because it's a sliding surface. They're sliding against each other, and by putting oil on it instead of grease, it will help to reduce the friction. Okay, there's a flat spot on this axle shaft. If you look at it, see the flat spot with the screw hole? Well, that part has to face up when you slide it in. All right, bring it back, slide it into our cross wound block, and we're going to line up the hole in the cross wound block with the axle shaft, like so. With that done, we can slip the screw back in and go ahead and tighten it up, which it wasn't tight to begin with when we started. All right. With that done, now we can spin this. You still might have a little work to do there. We'll give it a try. We'll see how it works when it's all together. All right, we're going to put the side cover back on now. And we're going to go ahead and give this another shot of oil before we put this cover on. Slip the side cover back on and put the 3 screws back in. Okay, take the handle now and put it back on. Remember, this handle is reversible. You can use it either way on the left or right hand side of the reel. All right, that's nice. Once it's all together, it functions beautifully. All right, that's going to bring us down to the spool. And the spool, we've got a clip here that we've got to take out that holds the drag washers in. And we're going to lift out the drag washers. Okay. Okay, well, that's interesting. I wonder if they've been out before. Let's take a look at what our count is. Okay. Teflon, eared. All right. The way that they've done this is they've got a sacrificial steel washer in the bottom so that it's not cutting into the aluminum of this. So they got it, and it's a spring washer to boot. If you'll notice, it's bent. Okay, so that's going to go in the bottom. Then goes the steel keyed washer. Then goes the Teflon washer, eared washer, Teflon washer, and then the last keyed washer. And then the cap goes back on. We're going to scrub this up real quick. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. It's all nice and clean again. And I was a little concerned at first because it almost looked like there was a crack in the spool, but there's not. It's just a scratch. So we're good there. This is all Teflon. There's no need to oil any of it or grease any of it. It all just rides on itself. This one here is not a stainless steel washer. It's a regular steel washer, or it appears to be since it's spring steel. And I'm going to put a little lube on just it because it goes in the bottom and I don't want it to rust in the event that it gets wet. These guys appear to be stainless steel, so we're going to put in the keyed washer first. Then goes the Teflon washer. Next goes the eared washer, and of course it's called that because it's got these 2 little ears here. Those have to fit into these slots on each side of the spool, like so. Next goes the next Teflon washer, followed up by the last keyed washer, and then in goes the clip. And do not let it get away from you because this one is thin and wiry and it's very springy and it will shoot across the room if you're not careful. I get this one just tried to do. There we go. That is in. Spring is in all the holes. All right, at this point, we're going to set this on. And well, before we do that, we're going to put a little grease on the bottom right here, because there is a fabric drag washer right here on the bottom of the spool. This is actually a spacer that allows for the height that this spool is going to ride so that you get a smooth ride. And if you look at this spool, it's actually been riding too low in here because the line is winding high on it. This one actually needs a second one of these washers in here. Let me see if I have anything that will take its place that will boost that up a little bit so that the line will start tracking evenly. Okay, I found another washer and I put it on there. I'm putting it underneath there because it's not made of the same materials as this washer. So there we go. Set that on top. And I believe everything will ride nicely there. Okay, next, we've got that lubed, so that we'll lube that washer right there. We're gonna slip this on. And when you set it on, all these keys are not aligned because we just had them all out. So just rotate it until it drops in, and that's all it takes. Okay. Now, install your drag adjuster knob. And as you tighten it down, it can get very tight. Loosen it up. There we go. And you can hear the clicker. It was inside the bottom. And that's got that. The only final piece to go back on is this cap that covers up the screw. It helps keep the water out. So thanks to Dan. Oh, wait a minute. I see a little dirt. I got to get out. Thank you, Dan, for sending this sweet little reel to us. And let's come in a little bit right there too. All right, there you have the K-Mart SS40 spinning reel, and it's working beautifully. Anti-reverse functions properly. Let's back this out just a little bit. Anti-reverse functions properly. Our drag is working. We can tighten it down. There we go. Okay. The anti-reverse override works. The bail trip works, which it didn't very well when it came in. So if you like what you saw here today, by all means, please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, by all means, hit the dislike button. I would appreciate comments, though, that tell me what you didn't like about it. And if you would like to see further videos like this and have not previously subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. This is Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, signing out.